Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Testimony Thursdays. I'm your host, Dr. Jazz. And if you are new here, this podcast is all about showing our God given gifts and talking about different miracles and testimonies that we have been through to help us shape our character and also to inspire others. I feel like I have not did a podcast in forever because for Black History Month, I was having different guests on the podcast and I was recording episodes back to back. So it's been a minute since I had a solo episode. But we have a lot to talk about today. And yes, thank you for joining. Let's start off with our scripture before we get into it, okay? So, our scripture for today is going to be from Psalm 34. And let's go ahead and do 4 through 5. I sought the Lord, and he answered me. He delivered me from all my fears. Those who look to him are radiant, their faces are never covered with shame. So, y'all, that really touched me. I definitely want to meditate on that because I want to look to the Lord. I want to be radiant. I don't want to be shameful. I want to make sure, whatever I'm doing, it is to bring glory to God. So, yes, that was a good scripture. If I ever repeat the scriptures, y'all, that just means that the Holy Spirit wants to pour a little bit extra into us. Okay. I'm trying to keep track of everything that I'm doing, but in all the scriptures that I'm saying. So yeah, we can get some new ones if needed, if that's where we're led to do. But yeah, so today we have so much to talk about. I feel like we need to catch up on a lot of things. Let's start. First of all, Beyonce won album of the year. So yes, love her. I'm going to the concert. This is gonna be my fourth time seeing her. And if you was talking about her, don't go to the concert because you was talking about her. You need to not get a ticket because it was just so wild trying to get a ticket because everybody that said they didn't like her, what y'all was doing in the queue waiting to buy a ticket. So I had to get that off my chest. Um, but yes, I cannot wait to see her. And Black History Month, y'all. Like I'm so proud of myself and my intern Alexis. I love her so much, and everybody who was just on my podcast. Like, y'all have to go back and listen to those episodes if y'all have not listened to them. Like, I mean, it was so powerful and life changing just to hear about what everyone is doing in physical therapy, in church, as a regional director, as a professor, TV shows going on. I mean, just so much, so much. And I'm so thankful for all of the guests. And it's not going to stop there. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep highlighting Black history because it's important. It's a part, it is American history. Like, this is something that happened real life. You know what I mean? And it's like, I was watching a lot of movies for Black History Month. I love watching movies and I love watching like real life stories, especially if it has a good ending. Like, love it. So I was watching there is a gnat, y'all. I can't, those little bugs be getting in here. I was watching The Best of Enemies. The Best of Enemies? Yeah, I think that's the title with Taraji P. Henson. And it's such a good movie. It's a true story. It's about a school. I think it's in North Carolina. It's about a school in North Carolina where a black school, this was during segregation, a black school was burned down and they had to integrate and go to a white school. And they had what they called a charrette. So basically, they had somebody come down and try to be like a mediator between white racist people and black people and saying, hey, like, we don't want the black kids coming to our school. And the black people were like, our school just burned down. Like, we're not here because we want to be here. So it was just a whole thing. And, it's like, this is a true story, but it's so good. It's so good because excuse me, it's available on Pluto. And I believe Pluto is free. But what was so good about it, it's a whole bunch of points. I would say the first point that really stood out to me is that when they had the charrette, the black people wanted to end so the charrette was basically like the mediator came in and they talked about different points like, hey, we don't want black people coming to our schools, black children coming to our schools. And everybody got to sit down, everybody got to hear a voice. And at the end, they could vote, and whoever had the most votes would determine if they can go to the school, which is just, even to think about it, like that's so crazy to me, because it's like you didn't like black people that much that you did not want them in schools. Like that doesn't even, it's just to think about it, it's like what? So um yeah, so basically how they wanted to end the charrettes, they would say, okay, the black people say, you know what, we want to sing gospel, we want to end it on a good note, it's very heavy in here, we want to sing gospel. The white people said, well, since the black people get to do something, we want to do something too. And they said, sure, what you want to do? They said, we want to hang up the KKK uniforms and put them in the school, because they were meeting, I think they were meeting at another school, but wherever the meeting place was at, they said, we want to hang up this uniform and showcase it to everyone. And I'm like, that doesn't even, what? I'm like, that doesn't even compare like to gospel music, to KKK. And the fact that these KKK members were like using the Bible to back their thinking, I'm like, is this not parallel to today's time? Like, it was wild. It was wild. It was wild. So that was one of the points that stood out for me. And then the second point was, it was at the end, it was really good because, you know, they didn't fight hate with hate. So you got to watch the movie. But what happened was, that's why they call it the best of enemies, because like the leader of the KKK, he was like the president or the chair or whatever. He ended up becoming friends with the black lady, and it was up to him. Like he had the last vote on if like the black kids could go to the white school, and he ended up voting. Like at the end, he ended up voting like, yes, let them come to our school and stuff. And it was just a turn of events because of a conversation. Like the more that they were talking, the more that they realized, a lot of things that they had in common. And nothing was really separating them but ignorance. But I say all that to say that, even though that situation, it worked out and it was good, and even though the other KKK members were mad at him and they stopped like supporting him, he had like a gas station. And forgive me because I'll be forgetting people's names, but and these are real, this is a real story, so I feel so bad I forgot the names. But um yeah, so he had a gas station and the white people like stopped supporting him and stuff. So then like at the end of the movie, you could see like all the black people going to his gas station and supporting him, so he didn't go out of business. And until they died, I believe like they died in like around 2014, the real people, and they were still friends up until that. And it was like just ignorance separating them. Like, oh my goodness, y'all, go watch that movie, go watch that movie, go watch that movie, it's so good. So yeah, I just want to talk about that for Black History. And yeah, just being in a good place, being peaceful, being at peace, being joyful about just being optimistic. It's a lot of things happening right now. And I just feel like I feel good from being able to talk to my guests that were on the podcast. And this week too, I was able to talk to the National Society of Black Women at the University of Central Florida, like a virtual speaking event. And this is my second time doing it, and they are just wonderful as always. And the panel was filled with like a medical doctor, physical therapist, speech therapist, pharmacist, and it was just cool like hearing everybody's story and seeing them come back this year as well. But we talked about DEI, we talked about representation, and like what are we doing in our community, and why we are so passionate about doing like these speaking events and like mentoring the upcoming generation. So doing those things, I feel like helps me more than it helps the people who I'm talking to, because it constantly like reminds me of why I'm doing what I'm doing and why I'm so passionate about what I'm doing. So yeah, I just wanted to start off the episode with that. But this episode, I do want to talk about remote physical therapy, because I've been getting a lot of questions about that. Before we get into that, y'all, my hair, I'm just doing the most because I'm not even going nowhere, y'all. I literally curled my hair because I don't want to say because I was bored, because I was procrastinating, because I still need to do some documentation. And it's like, girl, I said I was going to leave procrastination in 2024, and it crept back on me. And that's all right, because we are going to pray it through. It's March. Well, it's still February, but it's basically March. And you know, those New Year's resolutions, that's when it starts to slip up. So I need to get it together. I'm gonna get it together for real. But yeah, I said I wanted to do like wear my natural hair more this year and like take care of it and stuff. So yeah, I've been doing like twist outs and braids and curls because I cannot do it straight because as soon as that door opens, this will not last. Like this is gonna be frizzy by the time I get done with this episode. Because I live in Hawaii. So you what? Why would you even curl your hair? I be doing the most. But so yeah, let me talk about virtual physical therapy. So I am also a part of I love learning. I'm always doing something, but I'm a part of the American Physical Therapy Association Leadership Scholars, and we had a meeting today, and it was so good. But basically, the program is about raising and uplifting upcoming leaders and people that want to volunteer with the APTA and just, make the world a better place, like honestly. So today we're talking about like digital transformation and sustainability and everything that we can offer to like the organization so we can build a better profession and sustainable profession and stuff. And I was just telling them how, I work remotely and I do school based pediatrics virtually. And I had a IEP meeting this week, an individualized education plan meeting with one of my students. And I was telling her mom like how she learned how to skip. And skipping is hard in general. Like if you're watching this, you need to stop watching it right now and see if you can skip because it's hard. Like skipping is a very hard skill and it's difficult to teach like virtually. But we got it down and now she's able to skip. And I was telling her mom that in the meeting and she was like, yeah, I know. Like she was so excited. She wanted to show me that she was able to skip and it was exciting. And to see like those things carry over like through a screen, I feel like it's so powerful. And my kids, I say my kids like I birthed them, but I always talk about my patients like that. But my kids are always so excited to see me. Like when I log on to Zoom, it literally feels like I'm in person with them. Like I have one girl that's really shy, but she's so cute. But everyone else, like when I log on, they're like, "Hey, Miss Jasmine," da, 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 da. And I had a one of my students. She was with one of her other peers in the classroom, and he has an IEP, but he doesn't get physical therapy. And she was like, Miss Jasmine, can so and so join us for our session today? And I was like, yeah, of course. And it feels like, like they just, the way that they latched on to doing virtual therapy is just, it's a mind blowing. It's like, wow. But when you think about it, like that's really their generation. That's what they know. Like I was just thinking about today, I was talking to somebody about how when I was in school, like I remember taking a computer class where I had to learn how to type on a computer. And it's like now kids are like born knowing how to use an iPhone. So it's different. Times are changing. And yeah, so basically how I got into doing virtual physical therapy was one of my coworkers who I was working with at a SNF. She told me about like virtual therapy and she's an occupational therapist. And she was like, yeah, it's like a whole like field out here for that. And I was like, what? I never heard of that. So I just typed it in on Google and a whole bunch of like different organizations and job opportunities popped up. And these are like organizations that have been doing this, like companies that have been doing this like pre-COVID, like years, like decade, like 12 years, and I was like, what? I didn't even know this was a thing. But it's a great way to serve like a rural community. Some schools are virtual. Some schools have like virtual academies, for students who don't want to go in person, or they may have like medical complications where if they go in person, they get sick. Like it's so many different things. So yeah, if you're interested in that, definitely like message me. I've been getting a lot of messages on it and just do your research. And I feel like with any job, it has its pros and cons. I would say one of the cons is that, I'm on a different time zone. So like tomorrow, my first patient is at 6 a.m. So I'm gonna try. I'm not gonna say I'm gonna try. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get up at 5 so I can get in my word, get in my devotion, and then I need to finish up some notes. So I'm gonna do that, and then I'll have time to see my 6 a.m. patient. And tomorrow I'll work for probably like an hour, virtually, and then I'll go do in-person things. But yeah, so that's typically it. I work like a couple hours out the week doing virtual work. So it's not that bad. And yeah, so that's one of the cons. And also, a con, like sometimes you just want to be in person because you want to like give them assistance the way that you want to do it. Like you have to really be able to talk students and like assistants through the skills that you want them to learn. Like it's really 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 big on communication. You have to explain why you're doing what you're doing and all of those things. But since I've been working with these kids, it's like I've been seeing like a huge improvement with their balance, like their coordination. And also, it's challenging for like the littles. Like I have a 3-year old, 4-year old, 3 or 4-year old that I'm working with as well. And he's all over the place, as he should be, age appropriate. But he's even improving. Like when I did the evaluation, like he wasn't able to catch a ball, he wasn't able to stand on one leg, he wasn't able to walk on a line. And now he's doing these things. And it's only been a couple sessions. And it's just like a little bit of guidance. Like I'm really talking to the teacher mostly when I have his sessions because he's all over the place. He doesn't want to sit down. And then I'm kind of directing her on different things, what to do, like standing on one leg. We're gonna build a tower. Okay, we're gonna kick the tower down. Before we do that, we're gonna stand on one leg for 3 seconds. Or we're gonna walk on a line. Wow, do you see the elephant on the carpet? Yeah, we're gonna walk right beside the elephant. So different things like that. Being able to think quickly on your feet to be able to change things um, to adapt to their environment and their attention span. But for my older kids, they're pretty straightforward. Like for the girl who I taught to skip, she's a little older, so she's able to sit at a computer and like follow directions and commands and all those good things, and they all listen well. Is one that sometimes we might not be able to play with a toy today if we don't have our listening ears. But majority of them listen really really well and do good and are well behaved. So yeah, some of the resources and tools that I use are Pink Oatmeal. So you can find them on like social media, Instagram, and you can go to their website and you can buy like a bundle deal where it has like a bunch of different digital games and exercises that you can play. And it is like heavily geared towards OT, but they also have speech and PT materials. So that helps me with like different exercises I want to do, different ideas. A lot of times I will do like a virtual games, like there's like a space game where the student can like take over the controls on Zoom and they can push like the button and the wheel will spin and then it'll stop and then it'll land on something and like we'll do an exercise like that. Um some of my kids too, like I'll say, hey, just set up an obstacle course and then we'll do the obstacle course. Some of my older kids will do like tic tac toe, things like that to just keep them engaged, having fun. So yeah, Pink Oatmeal is a resource. Tools to Grow, I really like them as well. That's heavily influenced by OT as well, but they also have speech and PT different items. And for Tools to Grow, I do use their documentation template that they have. So it'll transfer over to Google Sheets, and that's how I document everything. And then at the end of the session, like I'll take a screenshot and send it to the paraprofessional or teacher assistant just to have everything together, make sure the minutes are all good and all that good stuff. Um, and then same thing, like they have good home exercise programs. And I usually start the sessions like when I meet somebody for the first time, I have a PowerPoint that I call Meet the PT. And I just like describe, what virtual physical therapy is going to look like. I introduce myself, my credentials, my background, my experience, all of those things, just to make the teacher comfortable and the parents comfortable as well. But yeah, I've been getting really good results. It's awesome. I don't know, if we're going to continue for next year. We haven't really heard anything back yet for our contracts, but I'm excited. I definitely would like to continue. I like having that flexibility of being able to work, remotely. and it's fun. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. So that's how I kind of got into it. And it's not like a W 2 job, it's independent contract work. So that's another thing we were talking about in the APTA meeting today, but how I personally feel like the profession is moving more towards like freelancing, independent contract work, things like that. So with that one, like they don't take taxes out of my check, and I need to make sure like I pay like my quarterly taxes, and which, yeah, and I mean, it's like I don't make that much money from them because I don't work that much. I don't have that many hours that I work remotely. But still like keeping track of all those things and keeping track of like what I can write off, like pink oatmeal, tools to grow, any type of technology I need to use. Like those are things that I can write off that um can help lower that tax bill. So I'm still learning about all those things. And you can be like an independent contractor for different companies. There's another company I was going to work with, but they didn't have any like need for physical therapy at the time. So I think I just want to stick with one just so I can really give them like all my attention and all that stuff, plus the work I do in person. But yeah, overall, I like it. And if y'all have any questions, please let me know. Yeah, I do a bunch of different things. I'll do like virtual musical chairs too. That's another good one that my kids like. Um, Virtual Simon Says, all of those things. It's so many different ways that we can be creative and innovative, and provide the services to people that may not have them. And I would love to go in person as well. Like if that works out, certain times of the year, I would like to see them in person. But for now, we're getting the results, and if it works, it works. Of course, I don't want to say always, but sometimes it is better for people to get in-person services. Like sometimes it's better for people to get virtual services. I remember I had this one kid, this one little baby, where in the beginning of our sessions, when I first started seeing him, he would cry the entire time, entire session. And usually with kids, and I think I talked about this on a previous episode, but usually with babies, I can get them to like me eventually. But this baby was like not having it. And I'm like, what in the world? So then one day, he was super fussy, and the mom texted me and she was like, hey, like we can't. This is when I used to work at an outpatient pediatric clinic. And she was like, hey, like, I don't think we're going to make it today because he's really fussy. We're going to have to cancel. And I was like, well, let's just try a virtual session. Like, let me see what he's doing because at home, because when he comes to therapy, he's not like, we're not doing anything. He would cry the entire time and mom would hold him. And I'm like, something's not working. So when I saw him virtually, like he was doing so well, like he was sitting by himself. I was guiding mom on what to do, like putting him on in tall kneeling with his hands on the couch, like trying to get him to pull the stand, like all of these things. And it was just beautiful because I remember seeing him when he was super young. He's like 5 months and he wasn't even rolling. And then once he got to close to a year, like he was crawling, pulling up to stand. And I'm pretty sure he's walking now, but it was like, we can help. We can give people like education on what to do and different techniques and strategies to try. Like we're physical therapists. We don't just have one tool in our toolbox. Like there's so many other ways that we can help people, whether it's in person, whether it's virtually, whether it's through physical therapy assistance, anything. Like it's a lot. We should work together as a team and with different disciplines, and yeah, just being able to help people. So yeah, virtual physical therapy. I really wanted to highlight that today. And yeah, we're going to go ahead and wrap the episode up, y'all. So let me end with my test and my testimony. So for me, I feel like it's the same thing that I've been talking about for the past couple of weeks, like really using my talents that God has given me and not procrastinating, being organized. Like I know I function properly, and I'm not so stressed when I have my work done or when I have my to-do list and I'm able to check things off, like, just really trying to reach those goals and be a good steward over everything. So when God does position me in a higher place or a higher position or a leadership position, I already have those skills and my character is already built. So I'm not, bringing those flaws with me. So that's something that I am still working on. But thank you all for listening. Thank you so much for the support. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. And if you want to be a guest on the show, just message me. That would be lovely. And go back and listen to those episodes with the guests during Black History Month. And we're gonna have more guests on to just show representation and show the beautiful things that we are doing in a community to bring everyone together, no matter who you are, what you look like, nothing, none of that, just bringing people together and showing God's love. So thank you all for joining. See you all next week.